Hey folks, it's Marvin Cash, the host of the Articulate Fly, and we're back with another Southwest Virginia fishing report with Matt Reilly. How you doing, Matt?
I'm doing good, Marvin. How are you?
As always, just trying to stay out of trouble. And we were talking before we started recording, and we actually, if we're lucky, might get a little bit of rain in Southwest Virginia, and you're definitely easily 10 plus degrees on the low end side, cooler than most of us down here in the Southeast.
Yeah, it's water's definitely something we need. It's kind of teeing us up for getting heavy on the muskie train here in the next week or so. But the New River in particular is pretty low as a body. We get some pulses and some rises of water down below Radford day to day, but pretty low. I've seen it down below 900 a couple of times at Radford, which is less than half of the summertime average. So not atypical for this time of year, especially the last couple of years. But we are solidly dry, and we've had some kind of cloudy day mistings going on last couple of days. But yeah, it's looking like Friday, Saturday we might get somewhere that in the half-inch range. Hopefully, that might bring some options on board, because right now, I mean, everything's low. The trout streams are low, got leaves falling, water temps are dropping. So the smallmouth fishing in the Freetown rivers is getting kind of challenging day to day. You have your good spots and your bad spots within the week, and then aren't really even getting a whole lot of generation on their tailwaters either. So for a person who usually has a lot of options, you still got options, but they're getting kind of skinny. Water's definitely going to help us a bit.
Yeah, and we were talking before we started recording, so you've got this low water, which makes things unnecessarily technical, right? But then the other thing is you've got kind of this transition, and it kind of the musky fishing will start to pick up, but then it also has a tendency to kind of make things a little bit funky, right? So it's not consistent.
Yeah, I'm never one to be scared of clear water on the musky front. I mean, it definitely makes it more challenging to put hooks in fish at times, but it makes for some exciting days on the water. You get to see a lot of fish this time of year usually, and sometimes that's just what the doctor ordered for somebody who has not done a lot of musky fishing. You get some interactions, get some visuals, more so than sticking it out in January when you might not move a whole lot, but you get a little bit more color in the water maybe, and fish might be a little bit more likely to eat. But yeah, everything's in transition. I mean, you nailed it right there. The smallmouth fishing will get better for the fall season from here on out. More than likely, things just need to stabilize a little bit. This first couple big cold fronts can it's kind of a wild card sometimes. I mean, especially if the water's low, I think it tends to hurt things, just because they're cold shocked fish, which aren't super great to begin with, but then they're cold shocked fish that know you're after them, and that's a hard fish to catch, and especially if they're moving around in the river and not as predictable as they were maybe 2-3 weeks ago. So a little bit of water, a little bit of time, let those water temperatures stabilize a little bit. I mean, we're down in the like upper 50s and low 60s, where we were, in the 70s a couple of weeks ago. So we're dropping off pretty quick. And so once we get some, October does this to us every year. We'll get a couple of days of cold, dreary weather, and then we get a couple of days of, feels like summer weather. So we just need the stability, I think, right now.
Yeah. And so if you're out kind of right now where things are kind of not settled, do you generally, kind of in your game plan for a day, do you, plan to try more things, right? Until you kind of find the thing, or do you kind of still have the same approach to the water?
That's a good question. And I'll say my answer is probably different depending on the day. But that's frankly one of the signs or symptoms, if you will, of a challenging transitional fall day. Smallmouth fishing for me has always been, having a game plan, or I try never to resort to just throwing the kitchen sink. I think that's generally a waste of time, but I'll usually approach the river with two or three, um, things that I know are going to work. And usually it comes down to all those things do work, but you'll start out on plan one, plan A, you'll get a little bit of action, things feel favorable, and then it dies off for a while, and you start going back to the drawing board and say, okay, plan B, put plan B on, and whack a couple fish right out of the gate, and then it slows down again, and you're just kind of like, you kind of know what's up because you know the fish, you know the water, but um, things are just changing. It's nothing is necessarily set at the moment. You're just going to kind of run into them and run out of them, and you'll find fish in different moods and that kind of thing. So it's I definitely do keep more of an open mind, but I also try to be confident and know that I know what should work, and we'll get them eventually.
Yeah, and I would imagine on the trout front, it may be low clear water, but probably nymphing and streamers a little bit less probably variability than on the smallmouth front, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, where they're going to be. Water's real low. They're going to be in the oxygen. Not that they need that necessarily, because the water temps are cool enough, but they're going to be in those areas of broken water and deeper water and closer to the food source, which we're talking nymphing. That's just broken water riffles where macroinvertebrates are being dislodged. Um, Streamer fishing this time of year on the mountain streams can be fun, especially if we have a little bit more water, but you're kind of running and gunning on foot and hitting those higher percentage areas. Um, just looking for a player, just like we would on a tailwater, but you just have to make drift boat your feet and cover some ground. Um, and yeah, I mean, I guess one more word on the smallmouth is just that, when you're muskie fishing, you get out there, you generally have a game plan. If you've got realistic expectations, and you're not, specifically fishing to one fish, like sometimes I'll go to the river and I have a fish that lives in a certain spot and I'm going to try to get it to move or do something. If you're floating down the river fishing, it's probably going to be lunchtime or at least a couple hours in before you start thinking about, oh, maybe today's a slow day. If you're on the smallmouth front, usually you're used to catching a fair few fish over the course of the day, and so um, when you don't catch a fish for an hour or two, it starts to feel like things are painfully slow. But that's where just knowing that things are changing. Fish might just be in kind of a funky mood. Yeah, you might need to make some changes, but you know, don't don't get an hour in and then just start sorting through your fly box. Give it some time and give it some different habitat types and presentations. And at the end of the day, this time of year, um, they will still eat a lot of things, especially if the water's low. They'll eat on top. You can trigger them with some aggression. They'll eat on bottom. They'll eat mid column. It's just putting it to work and doing it well, more or less.
Yeah, got it. And folks, we love questions on the articulate fly. You can email them to us. You can DM us on social media, whatever is easiest for you. And if we use your question, I will send you some articulate fly swag. We are drawing for some cool stuff from Matt at the end of the season. And Matt, before I let you go, if you want to let folks know kind of, what you're looking for from the booking side and kind of how to find you and all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah. The website's Matt Reilly Fly Fishing. Everybody can hop online, find my contact info on there. As far as bookings go, we are, fairly booked for the muskie season. There's still plenty of dates open. If you want to get in on any winter smallmouth fishing or trout fishing, that's all going to be viable for the next several months too. Just reach out to me and give me a shout. Tell me what you might be interested in. We can talk about it. And then as far as the smallmouth program goes, we are actively booking 2024 at this point, and things are going fast, particularly those, the dates are coming the soonest, the springtime dates. So if you want to get on the river next year, don't wait too long. Like I said, it's never too early. Just open a line of communication, and that way we can make sure we get you booked in the window and the season that's going to work best for you. Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, it's never too early to buy yourself a Christmas present, right?
Yeah, we start harping on gift cards and stuff too here pretty soon. That's it's not October or it's not Halloween yet, so that must mean it's almost Christmas.
Yeah, well, I was in Lowe's and boy howdy, all the Christmas stuff was out. So
no kidding.
Yeah. Well, listen, folks, as I always say, fall is my favorite time of the year to be out on the water, and you owe it to yourself to get out there and catch a few. Tight lines, everybody. Tight lines, Matt.
Thanks, Marvin.